And now Dr. Earhart, Special Assistant to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, will offer some remarks.
Thanks, Link. Everybody can have a seat. Well, this is a beautiful day and a really important symbolic day for the Air Force. I'm glad we also have some extra observers here for this, because what we're going to do here is really it's on the face of it, it's a promotion ceremony for Lieutenant Mastro, but really what it is it's a symbolic event for our Air Force. It's a symbolic event for our nation, and most importantly, it's a challenge to the promotee. It's a challenge to Oriana about what it is that she is facing in her professional career and what the Air Force expects out of her as she rises through the ranks in the Air Force and in her career. So I hope we can kind of treat it like that. I think you're going to see some interesting things here today. If you've never seen a promotion ceremony like this, I hope you listen. We're going to do an oath of office, for instance, that you should all listen very carefully to, and find some surprising words in that oath. It's the very same oath that the President of the United States takes, for instance. It's an oath that's evolved over a long period of time, and is the one that makes our military unique. There are several aspects of that oath that make our military unique, and you'll hear some of those as we go through that after she's promoted. So the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about Oriana Mastro, who's being promoted today. My job is the Special Assistant to the Chief of Staff, General Norton Schwartz, and General Schwartz just flew in today, just a couple hours ago, and he wanted to communicate to all of you that how much trust and confidence he has in Lieutenant Mastro, and how unique it is that someone like her, of her rank, is working directly for the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. I'm sure it's unprecedented, and as you'll find out, this isn't the only unprecedented thing in Oriana's career. But the Chief says congratulations to you and welcome to everyone else. And so on behalf of the Chief of Staff, I'm very, very honored to do this, to conduct this ceremony. And I'm especially honored because as a retired colonel in the Air Force, as well as now the Special Assistant, I've been down this road a couple of times. I've not only been down this road on my own, in my own career, but I have 3 brothers and sisters who also followed in that same path on a long Air Force career, and I have a son who's about to be married this weekend. My wife Karen is sitting right here, and she's our oldest son, who's a Marine, is going to be. I would say it as the Marines say it, but then you would wonder why I was making guttural noises. But he's getting married, and we're really excited about that. But so the military thing is kind of in the family for me, and I want to communicate some of that kind of legacy to all of you and to Oriana as we go through this ceremony. So it couldn't be a more beautiful day. It couldn't be a more beautiful place and symbolic place to do this thing right here. This is the Air Force Memorial, and it's a fantastic memorial. This is the weight that goes behind the promotion to first lieutenant that's happening right here. The weight of all these airmen that have come before Oriana is being placed on her shoulders now. This is the first rank that she was awarded due to merit. Right? This is the first time. I mean, she went through the whole process of becoming a second lieutenant, but now the Air Force has said to her for the first time, we want you in our Air Force, for sure. And we want you in our Air Force for the long haul. That's what they're saying to her. And all these airmen that are represented by this beautiful memorial are saying that and echoing down through history that message to her and to all of us. This is a family thing. And all I want us to do today as we listen to these words, we listen to this promotion, I want you to think to yourself about what your role is in helping her to continue along this path as an officer in the United States Air Force. Think about what you could do to continue to encourage her, as many of you have done throughout, in some cases, for some of the people here, for many, many years. We have Claudia and Jim. Thank you very much for coming. Oriana's parents are here, and they're the ones that, you know, there was something special in that household. There had to be, because you don't get born with all the talent that Oriana has, right? You get, that's developed, and she can, I'm sure, can point back to her upbringing as a major you know, as a major part of who she is today. And I could say, as someone who works with her every day to help the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, I'm very thankful to you, more than you can possibly know, for what you've done in helping to form her. And her aunt and uncle who are here with us today, and people like Edwin, who she's known for forever, Tom Christensen, who's her professor and her PhD mentor at Princeton, and all the people who are sitting out here in one way or another have touched her life, and it should be our responsibility to really make this, you know, to see her way through her Air Force career. So Oriana, normally in a promotion, it's a great ceremony, but normally in a promotion, the promoting officer will go through the whole career. You know, the first assignment and where it was and what they did there and what they said about her in her first assignment and second assignment, all the way up to being a colonel or whatever it might be, and we'll walk right through that. This is a short story. and so again, I think what we need to know about Oriana, and what I appreciate about her, is that despite the fact that she's only been in the Air Force a short period of time, she's had more impact than many people will have throughout a whole career. And how did that happen? That happens through a combination of luck and execution. You have to. Sometimes it's you're in a indoctrination for a class to get a particular high level of classified access, and somebody in that briefing hears this second lieutenant talking about how she's been to China and she needs to know what to do because she's got this high classification, she's got this high security clearance now. What does she need to do, and all that? And that person who worked in our office was there in that meeting at the time and said, she's got to meet me. And that person is sitting right back here, Pete Garrettson. Pete is the one who sort of discovered Oriana in this security clearance briefing in the Pentagon. And she was ready to go out and do her job for the intelligence, for what we call a FIA, but it's our Air Force Intelligence Agency. And Pete brought her up to my office and said I needed to talk to her. So a lot of people want to talk to me, but I thought I could take a chance on this. I had a rare moment when I was actually not panicking and running to and fro from some meeting with the chief, or handling some last-second request because my BlackBerry went off again. And I said, let's talk. And within about 30 seconds, I determined that I was going to now have to figure out a way to get her to work with us in the Strategic Studies group. So I think that first day I said to you, you work for me now. I had no idea how I was going to make that happen, but I wanted her to work for me. And within, I needed a lot of help doing what I do up there with regard to how we deal with the People's Republic of China. And I felt a little bit alone sometimes on the air staff because that was an area of interest for me and not too many others, and we really felt it was important. So when I saw Oriana, I thought, this is a person that we have to get working up here. And one of the things that keyed me in that was she mentioned Tom Christensen, who I know. And immediately the connections are starting to happen, and I'm thinking, any student of Tom Christensen has got to be a superior performer, because I know Tom. He's just one of the absolute stars in the scholarly world and even in the policy world when it comes to China. So I thought, gosh, this picture is starting to come together for me. And so then I had to figure out a way to pry this second lieutenant out of the intelligence community to come work in this special job directly for the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. This is going to be a long sell. I thought, like, how am I going to make this happen? Well, people like Randy Mayer, who's sitting right over here. Do you see all the important people who are here that are involved in her life that she never knew anything about? Randy and the people in the intelligence community had enough foresight to know that this was the right thing to do. And it was, let's call it, was it a non-standard request? Yeah, it was a non-standard request. So we had to do a lot of working to try to figure out how we were going to make this work. And she ended up, in the Chief of Staff's Strategic Studies Group. It's a special group directly reporting to the Chief of Staff, who does all kinds of political, military, strategic advice to him to help him in what's called the tank. The tank is the place where the Joint Chiefs of Staff meet. The Chief of Staff of the Air Force has got a big staff, and they mostly work on putting together his budget and policy for the larger Air Force. But very few people are dedicated just to advising the Chief as to what he does as a Joint Chief of Staff, as someone who gives advice directly to the President and the Secretary of Defense about what it is we should do as a nation. And that's what we do in the Strategic Studies Group. It's one of the things that we do in the Strategic Studies Group. And within, I don't know, two weeks, I told her, in next week, I want you to get in a suit, business suit, because I didn't need a second lieutenant at a meeting with me in the Pentagon. Because I don't need you guys ever see any? I don't think we see any even second lieutenants. And I said, don't mess with your uniform. Just get in a suit and come with me. We're going to this meeting. And it was within about a week and a half or so, she was at a meeting with me with all 4 stars sitting around a table talking about China. And she was worried, like, what if somebody kicks me out or something? I said, just act like you've been there, and I'll just sit, we'll get there early, you get in a seat, if you guard the seat, you'll never lose it, and I'll make sure that nobody tries to keep you out of the room. And what I didn't know at the time was, I really didn't need to explain it to Oriana, because let's just say Oriana is a continues to do, which is she continuously exceeds your expectations about what it is someone like that can do. Blows the idea of rank, out of the water. She has got tremendous judgment. She's got phenomenal capacity as a scholar to be able to frame issues in a way that's helpful to the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. The vast majority of the people in the Air Force lack.